Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, here at Wilson's Promontory National Park in southern Australia. And good morning to everybody in Europe. To all our European tourism friends, welcome. Today we're live, as you know. This is our third week and promoting Gippsland. And today as we're doing live streaming, on the bottom of your screen, we also have live chats. So if you want to ask us any questions, that'll be really, really great. So we're going to do lots of presentations today. We're going to meet a tour operator. We're going to meet Destination Gippsland. We're going to meet wildlife cruises, Great Southern Escapes, and lots more information. But this is a Sydney Melbourne Touring presentation today. And here from Sydney Melbourne Touring, ladies and gentlemen, it's Paul Cooper.
Hey George, how are you?
Good. How are you, Paul?
Oh, look, when it's 9:30 in the morning in Europe, you know what time it is here in Australia? 6:30. That's glass of red time. Hey George.
Yes.
We're sitting here on this beautiful
Absolutely.
luxury 3-seater couch in a luxury safari tent at the Wilderness Retreats. And look, just moments before the camera actually started rolling, a wombat just walked past the window and did a loop around
really
the
great
tent.
experience. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
That's absolutely. And for most of our European market, this place is the pinnacle of Wilson's Promontory, is the Wilderness Retreat. I stayed here last night, and I can tell you it's one of the most amazing experience. It was my first time, believe it or not, as much as I promote this place, but it's definitely worth booking this, especially on your self-drive packages. Now, Paul, tell us about Sydney Melbourne Touring and its road trips.
I'd love to. Thank you, George. Well, Sydney Melbourne Touring has got lots of different touring ideas that you can do between our capital cities of Sydney and Melbourne. Looking at the map here, you can see our primary drives are the Sydney-Melbourne Coastal Drive and the Sydney-Melbourne Inland Drive, sometimes called the Capital and Country Touring Route and sometimes the Heritage Drive. But two different options you can do. You can also do combinations of high country driving. So there's so many different ways you can explore some sensational parts of Australia between Sydney and Melbourne. Now, if you're looking on the map here at the very bottom, you can see Wilson's Promontory. That's a beautiful national park, and about where that black dot is in the middle of the prom is exactly where we are right now, George.
Absolutely. So we are focusing on this small patch on this presentation, which is Wilson's Promontory National Park.
That's exactly right, George, because normally when we're in market doing training with our friends throughout Europe, we normally have like 10 minutes, sometimes more, sometimes less, to talk about the entire Sydney-Melbourne road trip journeys that your clients can make. But now we're going to spend half an hour just absolutely dedicated to this glorious patch of Australia. And when you look at these images here as we fly out over the prom, out over Whiskey Bay and the various beaches that they have, looking at the lighthouse at the southernmost tip, and of course Skull Rock, one of the islands of the prom, and coming down over Whiskey Bay here, and then of course the beautiful rivers and streams. And we finish these images with the classic fly over Mount Oberon, where we look down into the beautiful tidal river, and it's below that mountain, George, is where we're sitting now. So that's what our show is going to be all about today, George.
Thank you very much, Paul. I can safely say that this is definitely the pinnacle for nature lovers and people who love doing bushwalking and want a true Australian experience. So thanks a lot, Paul. We're going to get back to you a little bit later. He'll be talking about the Wilderness Retreat and the stunning walks and the wildlife here at the prom. Earlier, we spoke to the park ranger, the main park ranger here at Wilson's Promontory, Brent Moran, and we have a pre-recording for it. But coming on board right here is the main man here at Wilson's Promontory National Park, the head ranger, ladies and gentlemen, Brent Moran. How are we? How are we?
Thanks, George. How are you?
Good to see you, Brent.
Welcome to my office.
Welcome to his office. This is an office that everyone will die for. You probably got the best job in the world, haven't you?
It has its moments.
It's
definitely a nice drive to work.
So tell us, when's the best time to visit the prom?
Well, George, every part of the year has something different to offer. It's all subjective to what you like. The most popular time of the year is definitely summer, where you get those beautiful blue turquoisey waters, and people come from all over Victoria and the world to walk along
that's
those beaches.
That's Squeaky Beach, isn't it? Looks like it.
No, I don't think it is, but that's all right. It is. You can't tell; they're all beautiful.
They are.
So the most popular time is summer. So warm days and school holidays. I mean, thousands of people flock to the prom. To appreciate vistas like that Tongue Point there.
Tongue Point. Oh, look at this view. Wow.
But it's also very busy at that time of the year.
It is.
So my favourite time of the year is around about now. So in the southern hemisphere, autumn or fall.
Autumn, and it's less crowded.
It's less crowded. If you can avoid the weekend, sometimes it feels like you've got the whole park to yourself.
That's what you need, and it's such a huge park. What is the accommodation range here at the prom?
Well, it is one of Victoria's favourite camping destinations, so that's the primary purpose. There you go.
Camping there.
Yeah,
Great.
but we also have a wide range of accommodation available. Our most popular are our 2-bedroom cabins, which are perfect for families.
Yep.
But we also have smaller units, as you can see there. They're
Beautiful.
perfect for 1 or 2 people.
Yep.
And we also have lodges which can sleep up to 30. So a wide range of accommodation. But our most unique and luxurious accommodation is what you're seeing on the screen there. They're called our wilderness retreats.
And our agents can sell this, yes.
They can,
yes.
so through inbound tour operators.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. Perfect for couples. And there's just 4 of these tents in its own exclusive part of the park.
Absolutely. So, I stayed on it last night, and it was the first time I've stayed, ladies and gentlemen. Can I tell you something? The experience is, it is 5-star accommodation underneath the tent, and just hearing the ocean and how clean it is, and you've got your own self-contained bathrooms. It's like you're in a 5-star hotel, but in the wilderness, and you feel like it. So massive privilege to be here, so thank you for that.
Really get close to nature for the wilderness retreats.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to wrap up things here with Brent. So Brent, thank you for joining us, and I know you're a busy man, so you need to go back in the park. So thanks very much to Brent. Brent, so we heard all about the wilderness retreat. I believe Paul is ready to show us this area now. Are you ready there, Paul?
Thanks, George. Now, Australian animals normally like to find a nice, quiet, secluded spot where they can feel protected and be able to graze around and be at one with nature. Well, here at Wilson's Promontory National Park, that's exactly what they've done for us humans, with the accommodation known as the wilderness retreats. Where the wilderness retreats are located, you can't drive a car through, but there's 2 car parks on either end. One at the top side for Oberon and Verica, and one down this end for Latrobe and Bishop. Now, these wilderness retreats are right next to me, but they're so private you wouldn't even know they were there. There are 4 retreats, and they're located adjacent to the tidal river campground. They're also not too far from the beach, where you can hear the waves crashing. What a great way to go to sleep. Now, the wilderness retreats are actually luxury safari tents, and over the tent they have another protective cover as well. Let's pop inside and have a look. Now, the first thing I notice when I come in is the space. There's so much room in here. You've got a lounge for 3, a table over here, then you've got the mini bar and tea and coffee making facilities, and you can separate these rooms by closing the zips down here. So you've got one room here and another room in here, which becomes the bedroom. Now, in here we've got the queen size bed, and we've also got the little chest over here with a couple of bathrobes on the top. Inside is a bathrobe for a 3rd person, plus there's some blankets and towels in there as well, and there's a heater in the corner in case you get a little bit cold. Now, I did mention a 3rd person for a reason, because underneath here is a 3rd bed. So if you've got a 3rd person or you're travelling with a child, they're welcome at the wilderness retreats. What about the bathroom facilities? Well, I'm glad you asked. So just on the other side of the queen size bed is your own private ensuite with a beautiful shower, wonderful amenities, and of course the convenience station. Oh, and don't worry about the bloke in the mirror. He doesn't come as part of the package. Now, when you're staying at Wilson's Promontory National Park, it's self-catering. You won't find a 5-star restaurant here, but you can do your own 5-star cooking. And if you're staying in one of the wilderness retreats, your key will also access the community kitchen. And here it is right behind me. Just come in and have a look. Everything you could imagine in a kitchen is, well, pretty well here. You've got 2 toasters, 2 microwave ovens, 2 gas cookers, and there's 4 hot plates on each one. Then you've got a large sink, all the, well, that's the garbage bin, that's exciting. Then you've got all of the, wine glasses and colanders and plates and all sorts of things like that. And you've also got a full-size refrigerator over here with a decent-sized freezer in there as well. And of course the big fridge. So if you really want to cook up a storm, you can certainly do that here at the Wilderness Retreats.
Wow, look at that. That's really awesome. That's where I stayed last night. And for all the agents out there in Europe, this always gets booked out a lot. So just make sure you book it pretty early. Now, which brings me to our next guest. You are in the region of Gippsland, and it's one of the most picturesque, most accessible, and also the most nature-based region in Australia. And with me here from Destination Gippsland is Kelly McCarthy. How are we, Kelly? Good to see you.
Good to see you too, George. Hello.
Oh, hello. Now, Gippsland is a pretty big region. So outside the prom, can you tell us about the accommodations?
Certainly can. The closest accommodation outside the gate is probably Lamosa Rise. We can see some footage of Lamosa Rise on the screen
lovely.
here.
Yes.
That's a beautiful view out across the inlet to Wilson's Promontory. Beautiful decking, outdoor seating areas in there. Inside, you've got obviously your bed, a kitchenette. There's free Wi-Fi. Some fantastic facilities. They have a studio. They have a 1-bedroom apartment, and they also have a 2-bedroom apartment as well. Beautiful wood heater in there. If the weather's a bit chilly, you can sit there and still admire the view outside. Great accommodation for families here as well. They're very welcoming. Bear Gully Cottages here. They have 4 self-contained cottages. 2-night minimum stay here. Which is fantastic because you really do need a couple of days to explore this area. You've got your own private beach. You're also quite close to Walkerville, which is on the Waratah Bay. It has historic lime kilns and Cape Liptop Lighthouse just around the corner. So it's a fantastic spot, just 35 minutes from the gate of Wilson's Prom.
Looks beautiful, doesn't it? It absolutely looks stunning. And Wilson's Promontory, it's for all our guests, is about 2.5-hour drive from Melbourne. So it is a popular self-drive, and especially if you're doing the Sydney Melbourne touring route. But for people who don't drive, how do we get to the prom?
Well, you can take a full-day tour with Great Southern Escapes. We're going to hear from Andrew in a few moments. He'll tell you a lot more about the tour than I will. They leave 3 days a week from Melbourne. They depart on a Monday, a Thursday and a Saturday. They're a small group tour, so they have a Mercedes van which takes up to 11 people. The tour includes a morning tea and also a delicious lunch, which includes a lot of local produce. That's one of the wombats.
We just saw that before, yeah.
Yeah, just walked past our accommodation a moment ago. So Andrew's fantastic at finding all the best wildlife spots in the park.
Jeez, I can't wait to talk to him.
Yeah, he's a very knowledgeable man.
Now, what else does Gippsland have to offer?
Well, we really recommend a driving route that takes in a lot of the villages of Gippsland. So we've got a beautiful little quaint villages. This you're looking at on the screen is Lock. They have some fantastic antique shopping there, some beautiful cafes. They also have their own brewery and distillery. So one of the best gins in Australia in here. So you can have a sneaky gin on your way down. We also have Meenian a bit further down the road. So this is Moose, the cafe where we're eating our barbecue from tonight. A bit of a foodie mecca down at Meenian's. So they've got a great Meenian pantry and cellar, imported goods, truly pizza, fantastic pizza there. Great place to stock up on your way down to the prom. And then obviously we've also got the Bunurong Coastal Drive, which is a little bit of a secret Great Ocean Road for us.
It looks better than Great Ocean Road. Look
pretty
at that.
Stunning. Along all this route, you've got loads of rock pools, surf beaches. This is Eagle's Nest, which is a rock formation just off the coast. It's also, interestingly, one of Australia's most prolific dinosaur fossil sites as well. So there you can take a tour if that's of your interest.
Beautiful.
Some fantastic surfing. If you're into surfing, you can also learn to surf in the area. So there's a lot to do in and around Inverloch. So we'd suggest trying to book in a night at the RSEV Inverloch Resort. They're very comfortable accommodation and a fantastic restaurant on site there as well. So all your needs are catered for.
Beautiful. Oh, there we go.
That's you teaching me how to surf.
Plenty of surfing opportunities. One of the good things about this region is that it is easily accessible, but it's not over touristy.
That's very true.
That's what, especially the European market with their self-drive, that's what they're looking for. They're looking for hidden treasures, and you've got it all here. Good on you.
It is the size of Switzerland, so we're only about halfway through. Now we're going to go to the Tarabulga National Park as well.
Good. Look at this.
Look at this.
Wow.
We've got some aerial footage here.
Beautiful.
Through some of Gippsland's forests. This is the Corrigan Suspension Bridge above these spectacular tree ferns in the Tarabulga National Park. It's a fantastic spot just further down from the prom. And then from further on from there...
Stop it.
I know.
Look at that.
You hit the 90-mile beach, which is actually 94 miles long. We don't like to overestimate things in Gippsland. And that leads all the way up to the Gippsland Lakes. This you're looking at here is Raymond Island, which has a massive koala colony on there. So you're guaranteed a koala sighting. Gippsland Lakes is actually 7 times the size of the Sydney Harbour. So loads of opportunities for learning to stand up paddleboard or doing some kayaking, taking some boat cruises out to see some of the wildlife, or even hiring your own yacht, which you can even sleep on down there. So,
well, all I can say is make sure you put Gippsland in your itineraries, part of the Sydney Melbourne Touring, for self-drive or touring and or day tours or extended tours. We'll talk later. So thanks a lot, Kelly. That was a really good insight, and thank you from Destination Gippsland. And we're going to be crossed live, hopefully this time next year, to the Gippsland Lakes. So thank you very much. We'll
look
see
forward
you next
to it.
time.
Thank you very much, George.
And we're going to go back to Paul.
Wilson's Promontory National Park is a wildlife haven. Birds, emus, kangaroos, echidnas, and of course the wombats. The park also has some awesome walking tracks and trails. So when it comes to wildlife at Wilson's Promontory National Park, it's one of the best places where you can actually see them, especially the wombats. And where else in Australia can you get this close to an Australian native wombat? They are wild animals, however, so you should never feed them. Human diets are not good for the health of any of our native birds and animals. Always respect that you are in their place, so let them have the right of way. Wombats are nocturnal, so it's not often you see them during the day, except here at Wilson's Promontory National Park, where they are often seen grazing as people just walk on by. One of the reasons that people like to stay at Wilson's Promontory National Park for more than a day is the walks. There's so many of them, and they're very clearly signposted, like this one. You can see the Lily Pilly Link Track, Pillow Point, Squeaky Beach, or the tidal Overlook Circuit. Now the beauty of these signs is they all tell you the distance of the walk and an approximate time you should allow to get to the other end. There's also maps that you can pick up from the park office, which give you much more detail. It's a great way to discover this piece of paradise, the southernmost tip of mainland Australia. Do it on foot. You'll see so much more. This is a boardwalk which goes alongside Tidal River, and along the way there are plenty of fishing stations. That's right, you're allowed to fish here. George, I'll be back later to check out one of these great walks in more detail. So for now, it's back to you.
Oh, you got the best job, Paul. And by the way, I love those socks. Anyway, guys, and now next guest. If you're thinking of doing a lot of land stuff, bushwalking and all that, absolutely fantastic. But also Wilson's Prom has got an absolutely amazing marine wildlife and marine experiences. And no better to do that is with Wildlife Coast Cruises, who we saw 2 weeks ago. They're here again. And welcome back, Brianna.
Hello, George. How are you?
Good, good. What boats departing Port Welshpool is where you depart from here at the Prom or near the Prom, and what kind of tours do you do?
Well, Paul, we do a beautiful 9-hour Wilson's Prom cruise. That one is absolutely fantastic.
Wow.
You'll board the comfortable 20-metre catamaran. You'll visit a beautiful cove called Refuge Cove, where you can go for a swim, you can go for a bushwalk, you can go for a nice snorkel, and also enjoy some lunch on board. You'll go past some beautiful rock formations and coastlines on this cruise. It is absolutely one of my favourites, George. It's amazing.
It is. Looks lovely.
The waters are just so beautiful. You just want to swim most of the day, to be honest.
Oh, this is what I want to see.
Skull Rock.
Oh, look at that.
How amazing that is. Sometimes we do get to touch it. We get nice and close. We're actually going underneath it. You'll visit a seal colony there. Sometimes you see them slide down and they bump into each other sometimes. It's very funny.
Great.
Regular dolphin sightings and whales.
Whales,
as well.
I heard about that. Whales.
All
year round, or?
No, we see those whales in the spring months. They are amazing. We have a cruise that goes for 6 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, it will include your lunch on board, your morning tea, coffee. You'll probably see a whale.
So basically, I mean, look at this. Look how amazing this experience is with the whales.
Oh, they are so playful. They are
huge.
coming back from the north, so they're on their migration south. They are so playful with their calves, and last year we saw common sightings of a calf and a mother synchronized breaching. Who doesn't want to see that? They're incredible.
What a photo.
Yeah, that one's going for a nice deep dive underneath the boat. It's amazing. Oh, one of my favourite cruises, definitely.
I tell you what, I mean, you've got so many animals and so much wildlife here, but the marine life is unbelievable. To experience dolphins and whales in this beautiful surrounding, I think this is one of the best cruises you can ever experience here in Australia. Now, speaking of cruises, not only do you do cruises around Port Welshpool to around Wilson's Prom, tell us other cruises you do.
So, George, we do a lot of different cruises. So, from Phillip Island, we do a beautiful Cape Woolamai cruise that leaves from San Remo. You are going underneath the San Remo Bridge, going to Cape Woolamai and viewing beautiful coastlines and rock formations and cliffs and caves. It's absolutely stunning. We also have a daily seal watching cruise that will go for 2 hours with the complimentary tea, coffee, cake and biscuits, viewing thousands of Australian fur seals.
And this is highly recommended if they're going to see the penguins.
Definitely.
Just before the penguins, you can do the cruise.
Definitely.
Wow, yeah.
They are so playful and definitely worth viewing from our vessel. Our Twilight Bay cruise is a nice sunset cruise to unwind at the end of the day, viewing the HMAS Otama. Wow. That is a submarine that was in the Navy. Our winter whale cruises that also leave from Rhyl, viewing dolphins and whales, and it's spectacular.
And you're obviously a family-owned company.
We are, yes.
And you're part of the family?
I am part of the family, and I'm lucky to be able to go on these cruises as well. It's amazing. I've been doing it my whole life.
And how passionate is that? Brianna, thank you very much. Very insightful. And don't forget the name, Wildlife Coast Cruises. Must be put in your itinerary. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, George.
Awesome.
See you later.
See you later. Wow. Well, where do we go next? Live? Oh, yes. You know where we're going next? We talked about it before. Self-drive to the Wilson's Prom. But this next gentleman here is the main man. When it comes to tour guiding and tours from Melbourne to come down to the Prom, it's Great Southern Escapes. Welcome, Andrew Davidson.
How are we? George. How are we?
Good, thanks, Andrew. And tell us a bit about Great Southern Escapes and what you offer as a tour company.
Oh, well, Great Southern Escapes is a small family-owned tour company. I do most of the guiding myself, and a special shout-out to my 7-year-old bus washer and vehicle detailer, Ned, who's watching right now. But look, what we're trying to do, George, is give people the option of experiencing the Prom at a very personalised level. We're a local-based organisation, so we want to provide people with a very local, authentic and inspiring experience.
And your buses and your vehicles, sorry?
We're a small group, maximum 11 people. 11? Mercedes bus.
Oh, Mercedes, that's really comfortable.
Yes, nice and comfortable and spacious. Yep. And look, we offer day tours, and our day tours incorporate not only bushwalking and the nature of the Prom, swimming and so forth, but also along the way, the journey's part of the experience as well. We try and incorporate those Gippsland villages and the food aspect as well. And
when you do the Prom tours, like you said, you do a bit of Gippsland, but for your day tours, you're at the Prom a considerable amount of time.
So, around about 6 hours at the Prom, which is plenty of time for lots of walking and relaxing and that sort of thing. And we sort of head back late in the afternoon.
That's right. So obviously, if you're short of time, but you have to experience this, your tour is probably the most comfortable you can do. And what days do you go? Well,
currently we depart Mondays, Thursdays and Saturdays. Yep. And then come spring this year, September, we'll be going to 7 days a week.
Fantastic. And I'm looking at your footages of your Wilson's Prom Tour. Look at that. Beautiful. You see the animals in the wild.
Well, the wildlife encounters are really popular with particularly the international people, and wombats in particular, are almost, particularly at this time of the year, almost guaranteed.
And I understand that with these tours, because you go 3 times a week, and they're on Monday, Thursdays and Saturdays, is that correct?
Correct, yes.
So Monday, Thursdays, you have other tours that you can do, and if people want to stay overnight, you can incorporate that as well?
Absolutely. As of spring this year, we'll start offering multi-day tours to private touring.
Fantastic. You'll be including the Wilderness Retreat, no doubt.
Absolutely. And there are also a number of other accommodation options outside the park, which Kelly mentioned earlier. Those include Lamosa Rise and Bear Gully and places like that. Wherever we put people up, we want people to have an inspiring experience. And so we've chosen those places very well, including the wilderness retreats here.
Fantastic. And we have one of our, you actually answered it before, but we have a message from Inca in Germany. Hello, Inca.
Hello, Inca.
And you've answered up to 10 people with a Mercedes vehicle, so it's pretty...
That's right, yeah. Look, we have the Mercedes high roof 12-seater bus.
Awesome.
Look, it's very comfortable and spacious and quiet, and... it means we can go into places that the bigger buses would never go, and look for wildlife encounters, which is a big part of the tour, obviously.
Andrew, it's very insightful. Thank you very much. And
you're welcome, George.
As he mentioned, he is a local. He knows the prom. He's very passionate about it. From a local perspective, you can't go better than Great Southern Escapes. Remember that name.
Thanks, George.
And George, just yelling out offset here. Just another question from Inca.
Yes.
Wants to know whether or not Andrew will be at ATE.
Andrew will be at ATE? Probably not.
I'll be represented at ATE by Destination Gippsland, and you can speak with Alison, and she will give you all the information that you need.
So Destination Gippsland at ATE. See definitely Alison. Thank you very much.
Correct.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Inga.
George.
Awesome. And now Paul is about to take a walk.
George, Mount Oberon is probably the most popular walk here at Wilson's Promontory National Park. As you can see in this shot, once you get to the top of Mount Oberon, you're looking right down on the tidal river campgrounds. But it's not the only walk you can do at the prom, and so many people miss out on some other great walks. There's tracks and trails all over the place. This one is one of my favourites, Tongue Point. It's before you get to Tidal River. So pull up the car, grab a bottle of water, your camera, maybe a snack, and take a walk out to Tongue Point. Some walks can be more challenging than others, as in hills to climb and so forth, and other walks are like this one, nice and flat and easy to do, although there's a little bit of a hill at the start, but it's not too challenging. And you're walking along amongst all of this Australian native bush, and all of a sudden there's an opening and you're looking out over Bass Strait. It's a wonderful way to discover Australia. Been walking now for about 45 minutes from Derby Saddle to this point, one of the lookouts as you're on the Tongue Point walk. The last 250 metres was pretty challenging though, so I would recommend you have at least a moderate level of fitness if you want to do this walk. But what the reward is the views. From this point we can look straight down on the Tongue Point. We've got the beautiful islands of the Prom over here. As we walked up we had glimpses of Whiskey Bay and also Squeaky Beach, and heading up that way is Phillip Island. So the views are spectacular. You can see forever.
Beautiful. Look at that. Paul, you're killing me here. You've got the best part of this gig, this live gig. So thank you. So what do we? This is it. We're wrapping up, aren't we?
Yeah, we're wrapping up pretty soon. But I agree with you, George. I pinch myself every day. You know, every time I do this drive, and it's 10 years in May since I started. Every time I do this drive, different day, different adventure. They just never run out.
And for me personally, and if people who know me over the years, and this has always been a soft spot for me as a destination, and I'm so glad it's starting to pick up, and we've got some really good products. And Paul, you are an amazing product for Sydney Melbourne Touring Route, and Sydney Melbourne Touring Route won't survive unless your partnerships. So tell us about it.
Oh, look, we've got some awesome partnerships, George, and we're really delighted to have such great long-term partnerships. They include the New South Wales Caravan and Camping Industry Association. Their largest chapter of members is along the south coast of New South Wales, and a lot of these parks have got absolute beachfront, so they really are beautiful. Big Four holiday parks, many of them down the south coast, but right along the drive, both drives, whether it's inland or coastal drive, you don't have to drive too far before you find a Big Four holiday park. The Murray Regional Tourism Board is also a corporate partner of Sydney Melbourne Touring. That takes in the beautiful Murray River on the inland drive, including Echuca Moama, Albury Wodonga, Yarrawonga Mawala, or we call that Sun Country on the Murray. And they're a great partner. And of course, just down from the Murray, you've got the beautiful historic city of Bendigo. And heading up from the Murray, you go into Canberra, being the national capital. So we hope to be doing some live streams from those drives in the future. And of course, THL, Brits and Maui. I lost count on how many Brits and Maui vans I saw driving in and out of the prom. It's one of the most popular destinations for them. And George, as a final thank you, I'd really like to acknowledge Visit Victoria. This whole stream came about through the very, very strong support from Visit Victoria, and we are very grateful, and hopefully the agents are too.
Absolutely, thank you, and thank you for Visit Victoria and all your partnerships. And that wraps us up. And hope you enjoyed this presentation. When you think of Victoria, when you think of Australia, you definitely have to include the Gippsland region. And of course, my favourite, is here at Wilson's Promontory. You can't go wrong. So thank you very much. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, everyone. And a big thanks to all our production. It is a live stream. It is really big production, this is. You don't see the behind the scenes, but thank you to Paul for organising all this.
And also thanks to Kelly for that wonderful Pinot. And I think we're upgrading to the Shiraz now. Inca, you're going to be very jealous. Wine is just so good in South Gippsland.
See you later, guys.
Love you long time.
Wilson Prom. Thank you.